this is where we're going to end up. Maha Mantra. So that's where we're going to start from. And here's our topic for this evening. Mind the mind. It's a alliteration deliberately. The art of mindfulness. Yeah. Everything's all right, right? Okay. I was asked to speak on this topic at a university program this semester, and I find that it's a very relevant topic for not just for college students, but for everyone, because mindfulness has become a buzz, or I guess commercialized. Like green. You want to sell a product, you call it green. Doesn't matter if it's toothpaste or clothing, or, you know, because green is popular. So mindfulness has become popular, I found out after a little discussion with others. One person I was visiting recently, in his corporation, they have seminar, compulsory seminar for all the persons part of that corporation, the mindful manager. I don't know what they teach, but you got mindfulness in it. And then another student at this first university had done their undergraduate study in England. So I asked, in England, is mindfulness a popular term there also? They said, oh yes. How does it used? Mindful eating. I didn't bother to ask what that meant. It's a diet, and the process of eating is not just ingesting, or it's mindful of what you're doing, and it's nourishing your body, and rather than just gluttony, it's mindfulness when eating. Mindful walking was another. So exercise is needed, and when doing exercise, be mindful, use that time to direct your mind to some higher place, a good place. Then, so many others, but I'll just mention one other. I know someone whose profession it is trauma therapy is their profession, and it's, they don't use the term, but they apply the principle. Trauma indicating in this life or a previous life some kind of horrific experience, and that horrific experience is prompted by or triggered by something, like supposing somebody died in a fire or nearly died in a fire, had some terrible, terrible calamity in life connected with fire. All it takes is to see the candle flame, and that triggers this trauma, and it just takes over your whole body. Your parasympathetic nervous system says fight or flight, and it just controls your whole being. So one of the multiple things of trauma therapy is don't run from it, hide from it, jump out a window or something. You stay with it, be mindful of the feeling and where you feel it in your body, and etc., and kind of like stare down the beast, and it helps reduce the impact of the trauma. And there's more to it. Obviously it has to do with the mind and mindfulness. My understanding of the root of this term mindfulness comes from Buddhism, which also today has become quite popular either explicitly or implicitly in this mindfulness language. Just like in New York, it's my home base, and when walking on the streets of New York dressed in a dhoti, it's happened more than once that somebody will come up and say, with a big smile, "Are you enjoying being in the moment?" Because monks are supposed to be in the moment, right? Be mindful of the moment, or be present, or just a little, won't go too far, but that notion has to do with the teaching of Buddha and the method of getting to the stage that Buddha wishes his followers to go to. Short, Gautama Buddha, there's been multiple Buddhas over a period of time, but Gautama Buddha appeared in a royal family. So when he was a young man, he had royal privileges. In a royal carriage, he was taken here and there within the kingdom. Keeping it short, he saw suffering. He saw a man who was very diseased. He saw birth, death, disease, and old age, Bhagavad Gita, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. And he saw that the people surrounding that person who was suffering had to do with, they got in that condition because of desire, and the desire led to an unpleasant result. And then, after some time, he later saw a monk, another man, elder man, who was living very peacefully and was engaged in meditation, and his means of livelihood was just accepting whatever people would offer to him, etc. And he decided, I want that kind of life, not this other one. So he left home, he went to Gaya, engaged in unbroken meditation for some number of years under a particular Bodhi tree, and attained enlightenment, and came back to the world and gave some teachings. And this Gautama Buddha has the eightfold teachings. Basically, if you look at them and you're familiar with Bhagavad Gita, it's life in the quality of goodness, compassion, cleanliness, simplicity, truthfulness, life in the quality of goodness. So frame your life in the quality of goodness and fix your mind on the other side of desire. So desire, his teaching is the root of suffering. Desire is the root of suffering. To become free from suffering, become free from desire. And to get to condition where you're free from desire, or not pursuing or chasing after desire, you have to be in the moment. You have to be mindful, not planning the future or lamenting over the past. You have to be in the moment, and then the next moment. And there's other philosophy that goes with it. Really simply, there's no such thing as consciousness. All there is the moment. It's interesting. It's not what Bhagavad Gita says, but it's what... This machine's making some noise. You hear the buzz? Okay. Okay. Another time, I'll, if you remind me, what are Buddha's teachings compared to Krishna's teaching? What's their similar? How's they're different? But one of those teachings in Buddhism doesn't exactly say there's no consciousness, although there's a brand of Buddhism that still remained in India after Buddha was driven out by Shankaracharya, that explicitly said there's no consciousness. You can be conscious of the moment. There's a blue cloth in front of me, and then I can be conscious there's a green cloth over there. But I lost the blue consciousness moment, and now I'm at the green consciousness moment. And all there is the moment. So be in the moment. And that's all there is. There isn't such a thing as consciousness. It's denial of the soul. It's not explicitly denying the soul, but it's denying the soul that's conscious in consciousness. That's not our Vedic model, but Buddha rejected the Vedas for a reason. For multiple reasons, but the external reason is there were persons of his time, so-called followers of the Vedas, that were justifying animal slaughter in the name of the Vedas, so he said, I reject the Vedas. Follow me, be nonviolent. Don't unnecessarily bring pain and suffering to others, which is a teaching of Bhagavad Gita, but reject the Vedas. So, this, in Bhagavad Gita's language, this mindfulness, that we have a mind and it's going to be mindful of something, it's very much influenced by the modes of nature. Now I'll assume most of you are familiar with this a little differently than college students might have been. But the three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, influence the mind. And the mode of passion influences the mind in a fruitive way. I want to enjoy. And to enjoy, if you're in material consciousness, you need something outside of yourself to enjoy, so you have to make some endeavor to get that something outside of yourself to enjoy, and that's, the mind is directed towards those activities, fruitive activities, to get something to enjoy. So you're not in the moment, you're planning your enjoyment activities. Then over there is the mode of darkness, or tamagun, mode of ignorance, and there's the tendency for lamentation, or worse, depression, or sadness, or laziness, or moroseness, and any of those, you're not present. So mode of goodness is be present. Be present with the situation. Here we are at ISKCON Naperville hearing about minding the mind and mindfulness. So every action, before there's an action, there's a thought. Yes? I'm sitting in a chair, and before, this is Plato, before the chair, there was the thought, chair. And so then came the chair. There was some activity, but every activity, our lives, are predicated by the mind being influenced by the modes of nature, and then comes our activities according to the modes of nature. We're very much influenced by the modes of nature. And according to Bhagavad Gita, and according to Picasso, the mind can be either your greatest friend, that's the one that's upside down over here, or your greatest enemy. It's the same entity, but depending upon where the mind is directed, greatest friend or worst enemy. So to get to this state of mindfulness, as Buddha did, so commonly people attempt, through different processes of meditation. And we engage in meditation, we engage in mantra meditation, but there's many different models or features and aspects of meditation. And it can be as simple as relaxation. I read a study in Japan. They're very interested to have their workers productive. So they have experimented over some time what helps workers become more productive. And one of the things they found out was if there's, in the course of the workday, there's some simple relaxation. So they've tried yoga, they've tried meditation, they even, this study says they brought cots, power nap, you've heard that one before? Okay, everyone, time out, lie down, power nap time. And so it's a meditation, or let the sympathetic nervous system, rejuvenate, and the fight or flight become calm and relaxed. So then they found the workers, in the course of a week or a month or a year, they become more productive by meditation breaks. So it's okay, you're at work and you take a little japa meditation break, and you'll be more productive at work or when you're studying for exams. One of the students I met, he said after class, "My mother taught me, whenever you have an exam, do meditation before the exam. You'll do better in the exam." That's how my mother taught me, and this was Northeastern University. And he said, and it worked. I always did better. When I didn't meditate, I wouldn't do as well. Now I'm new over here. I'm so disoriented, it's hard for me to meditate. So it can be as simple as some relaxation effort, or an exercise of devotion, or leading to some kind of devotional contemplation. It can be specifically contemplating spiritual matters. It can be contemplating an object, a single object, like a candle. I don't know if anyone here did this type of meditation. It's mechanical. It was something that I was introduced in college, so I did for a while. Just keep the mind still, seeing an object, and let your eye and then in turn your mind just be upon one object. Although there's many things to do in the course of the day, for some part of the day just bring the mind to one-pointedness. And different methods of using candles shown here. Another is mandala. Many of you know what mandalas are. There's one in the lower left. In the upper left, that's a Buddhist process. They have already a design. And then in the lower right, they're starting to make, or in the upper right, they're starting to make. And then in the end, they have the mandala, and they sit around the mandala, lean over with instruments, with sticks or pointing instruments. They point to one part of the mandala and concentrate on that one part of the mandala for some time, and then with the stick pointing to another part, and then another part, another, and then the whole thing. So the part and the whole fit together. It's a bringing the mind to a point of focus and attention to one thing. Mindfulness. Just two more. This is chakra, or indicating chakra meditation. Western people are fascinated with this. When they hear yoga, immediately it goes to, oh, does your yoga teach about chakras? So, energy centers in the spine, and whether it's explicit or not, commonly that's a technique that's used without detailing. And the idea is to gradually elevate consciousness by that meditation on energy centers within the body. Sometimes there's meditation on the syllable Om or the sound vibration Om, again as a technique. Recently in New York Times, there was a photojournalist that submitted, and it was published, a photojournal interviewing 108 leading yoga, not just practitioners, but teachers, who took yoga not just as a physical strengthening, body toning, balancing kind of thing, but a spiritual journey for them. And I just have two of his images. He's a good photographer. Now, I know I can't do that. But I know also that in order to do that, it's not just suppleness of body. It requires the mind that's very steady. You can't, and he's not just, he stays in that position for some time. the mind has to be steady. I think I can share this with this audience. Some of you may know Praladananda Swami. Praladananda Swami, he's one of the 49 other persons who attended the same university that I did that became devotees around the same time. And one of the things that he has expertise in is yoga, so much so that he was invited, he shared this with me one time, he was invited when in London to give a training to teachers of yoga teachers. And what they wanted to do was verify, are they doing things the right way? So he explained to me what he did with them to help them understand, and the short of it was, it's really about the mind. There's different things you can do with the body, asanas and so forth and so on, but he took me through this little demonstration, and it's the mind. So now, unfortunately, I don't know what this gentleman's mind is on. Probably something he's seeing out there, but maybe something else. But not likely Krishna. And when Krishna isn't the object that the mind is fixed upon when meditation, in meditation, there's this verse, you can look it up later if you like, 6.2.46. I know many of you now have Bhagavatam in your home, so you can look it up when you go home. It's an explanation given by Shukadev Goswami, the speaker, about other processes that engage the mind. We talked about it a little while ago, today. The mind can go higher and higher and higher, and one can experience, through Vedic or even other processes, there's accessible higher states of consciousness where the mind becomes more free, and more illumination enters your heart. But Shukadev Goswami says, unless there's shelter in devotion to Krishna, after some time, the influence of the modes of nature and the influence of karma, it brings one back to the former position. I call it the bungee cord effect. You know what a bungee cord is? Those things that have hooks and then kind of elastic, and you hook them around something, and then you unhook the thing and it goes back to the bungee cord effect. So without shelter in Krishna, that meditation process takes you at best to the point of material cessation, and then what's on the other side of material cessation, which is nirvana, that's the attainment of Buddhism. If there isn't shelter on the other side, you come back. Have to. Bungee cord. Meditation is like making the mind still. Here's an image I like. It's the rain is coming down and the surface of the water is disturbed. But even when you're in a situation where there is disturbance, to remain undisturbed, that's the goal. That's effective meditation. In Bhagavad Gita language, it's dhira, D-H-I-R-A. Even when there's cause or provocation for disturbance, the mind remains undisturbed. That state is dhira, or sthita pragya, steady. So, again, one form is just trying to empty the mind of thoughts or come to the point of stillness. But our Vedic literature, which Buddha rejected, tells us what's on the other side of material cessation, or what's on the other side of the moment. Like, what's eternal? The moment it also has a beginning and an end, and then you're in the next moment, and then you're in the next moment, however long you think a moment is. There's a whole chapter, those of you that have Bhagavatam in your home now, there's a whole chapter, Canto 3, called calculation of time by the atom. It's really fascinating. It's a little complicated too, but the smallest unit of time, according to the Bhagavatam, listen to this, is the time it takes for the sun that moves to cross one atom. That's the smallest unit of time. And 10 of those makes another something, and 10 of those makes another something, and you get, the duration of the universe. The biggest, 2 prararthas. Half of Brahma's life and the other half of Brahma's life, and then time as we know it is withdrawn. And then you have this suspended state, or the cosmic annihilation, for an equal period of time, and then time as we know it becomes manifest again by the will of Mahavishnu, and then you have activities again. It's really, Bhagavatam's really amazing. So, our Vedic literature, which Buddha rejected, tells us what's on the other side of the moment, and that's divine mindfulness. Recognize the image. This is the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna speaks of, we just referred to it this afternoon, Samadhi, chapter 6, where in trance you're completely mindful of what? You're not mindful of nothingness, or you're not mindful of material cessation. You're mindful of Krishna. What's on the other side of the moment, and what's on the other side of material cessation is the spiritual realm. In fact, the spiritual and the material realm are resting in Krishna. Brahmano hi pratishta aham. Pratishta. The basis and support, the existential basis of everything is Krishna. And so divine mindfulness is mindfulness of Krishna. Even you may not know that about Krishna, by the process of practicing mantra meditation, that sound vibration can carry you to that place, that sacred place, Krishna. And Krishna's, because where Krishna is, there's his abode. Little story, Prabhupada story. Very early in the Hare Krishna movement, Prabhupada had a strong desire that his writings would have paintings. What's the saying? Picture speaks 1,000 words. It would help people he was introducing English-speaking parts of the world that didn't know anything about Vedic wisdom if there was a picture, particularly the Bhagavatam, but anything. And so he was training artists to make paintings of Krishna. They didn't know how to make paintings of Krishna. So what they did was they went to import stores that imported things from India, and then they would show pictures of Prabhupada. And this, one of the artists told me how they did this. That the question of Prabhupada was, is this bona fide? So he was, the Supreme Court determining whether something was bona fide or not. And although there may be, he was sharing, some very, very beautiful pictures, you probably have seen them. Some of them are where it's baby Krishna in a cloud. Beautiful smile, beautiful eyes, very charming. But Krishna alone, Prabhupada would say that's not bona fide, because Krishna is not alone. Where are the cows? Where's River Jamuna? Where are the peacocks? Where's Govardhan Hill? Where's the abode of Krishna? Krishna without his abode? Krishna without his abode? Not bona fide. So this mantra meditation through sound can carry you to Krishna, which means Krishna's abode and the whole of the spiritual world. I'm going to say something now. It's coming to mind to encourage all of you who have now Srimad Bhagavatam in your home to read it, because it's a treasure house. So there's a very important section in the first canto where Vyasadeva is following Narada's instructions to meditate on the absolute truth, and then rewrite version 2, expanded version of the Bhagavad Purana that he had previously written. So, in that explanation of what Vyasadeva realized in trance, he saw the absolute truth in full. Apashat Purusham Purnam. Apashat Purusham Purnam. He saw the Supreme Person Purnam, in full. So our Acharya, Jiva Goswami, says in full means he saw everything. Just like, listen, it's very nice. If you say, well, last week I saw the full moon, it was so beautiful. It's implied you also saw the effulgence around the moon. You don't say it. Oh, by the way, I also saw the effulgence around the moon. It's implied that when you saw the full moon, you saw the effulgence. So similarly, Jiva Goswami reasons, Vyasadeva saw the whole, he saw Radha, and he saw the whole spiritual world, because Apashat Purusham Purnam is implied. I saw the full moon. Very nice, huh? So this sacred sound can carry you, just the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra can carry you to that place, to Krishna's association through sound. Sound is very powerful. Some simple examples. High frequency sound can break glass. Sound of certain frequency can be used as weapons. Our taxpayers' money is helping the Department of Defense find out how to paralyze people or kill people through sound weaponry. Or sound therapy or music therapy. Here's some examples. One example I'm familiar with from New York, there's one of the very famous hospitals in New York City. It specializes, one of their specialties is cancer treatment. And I saw some years ago, 3 days in a row, a full-page ad in the New York Times, which I'm sure was very costly. I don't know what the dollar amount is, but I'm sure it was very costly. Maybe they got a discount because they ran it for 3 days or something. But that what they were promoting is one of the efforts in cancer treatment is we invite Buddhist monks to come, and they do their sound program with our patients, and it helps in their healing. They have found. Now this mantra meditation, minimally, it's a little difficult, especially in the beginning. Somewhere in the middle too, it's a little difficult to keep the busy mind from being so busy. But if we take shelter of the sound vibration of Krishna, and remember, the sound Krishna and the person Krishna are non-different. Abhinatvam, nama, namino. You familiar with this? From Padma Purana, there's a whole section in Padma Purana speaking about mantra meditation, specifically shelter in the holy names of God. And for Sri Vaishnavas, they have their Om Narayanaya Namaha. But the name of God, Narayanaya Namaha. And this, within so in that section of Padma Purana, I'll say it quickly, it just even sounds nice. Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvam Nama Namino. So, those of you, I mean, you probably know the meaning enough, even if you don't know Sanskrit. For me, it's like learning a whole, it's nice, it's learning a whole new, what does this mean, what does that mean? But Nama and Nami, The name and the object named are different. Excuse me, are two entities. And material sound vibration, the name and the object named are different. Bina, water, and the object, water, are different. I can't say water and my thirst is quenched. I can't say chair and sit in the sound. The sound and the object are different, etc. Spiritually, on the absolute plane, the sound, the name, and the object named, they're the same. Nama, namino. Abhina, tvam, nama, namino. Tvam means having the quality of, or something, somethingness, kindness, truthfulness, non-differentness. Abhina, tvam, nama, namino. So when we're engaged in mantra meditation, it's not just cessation, not just nirvana. That's not the goal. The goal of mindfulness in bhakti is mindful of Krishna. And mindfulness of Krishna means the whole spiritual world. But that sound, Krishna, includes everything of the spiritual world. It's really wonderful. So simple. And in this age, we need a process that's simple, because we're busy and distracted and lazy, and according to Bhagavatam, Kaler dosha nidhe rajan yasti eka mahan gunan kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajet. Nice verse from the Bhagavatam. This age of Kali is an ocean of faults. Dosha. Nidhi dosha. An ocean of faults. That's this age. But there's one good thing with that. The kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta. And this mukti, this liberation, is not just material cessation. It's shelter in what's beyond material cessation. Really important. I'm saying it no number of times for a reason. And you take shelter there. You don't have to come back. The bungee cord effect doesn't operate anymore. It cuts the bungee cord. You're in transcendence, and you can stay there in this lifetime and following this lifetime. And so the process of mantra meditation, very simple. Nice mode of goodness setting like this is fantastic. Or whatever the situation, there's no hard and fast rules in chanting. But the main focus should go to the sound, and appreciating that the sound and the name are non-different. Excuse me, the sound and the person are non-different. We're taking shelter of Krishna. And how young can someone begin? At any age you can begin. How frequently should this be taken up? Every day. Something that I learned when I was young. I learned a few things when I was young. One of them was, if there's something that's good, do it every day. Brush your teeth every day. Clean your room every day. Eat your spinach every day. You know, something that's good, you do it every day. You have a little variety, but with your eating habits, but every day. And with sadhana, just not just when you have an exam. One of the places that I visited some years ago, I don't have the chance to go there anymore, Bits Pilani. On the Bits Pilani campus, there's a Saraswati temple. And the place is packed whenever there's exams. And the students told me, before and after exam, they go to Goddess Saraswati and pray that they do well in their exam. So not just at exam time, but daily, because it's good for you. And for what duration? This is now for students, some minimum. You set some minimum. Chant 1 round a day, 10 minutes, or whatever you can take as a minimum. Take some standard, and maximum has no limit, but some kind of standard that you do every day. How many, I think I can ask this question, how many persons here in this room have a practice of every day some minimum of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? You do. 1 round every day. Good for you. Every day. Masumenas? Huh? Not on vacation. Okay. Every day. Vacation, no vacation. Exam, no exam. Every day. Because it's good for you. That's the mode of goodness, by the way. In the 3rd canto, those of you that have these lovely Srimad Bhagavatams now in your home, there's a chapter where Lord Kapila Dev explains that there's devotional service that's pure, but there's the modes of nature that influence us. Devahuti asks, is it possible? I get it, devotional service is pure. But what if you're in the modes of nature? Can the modes of nature have an impact on your devotional service? He says, oh yes. So in ignorance this, in passion that, mode of goodness is you do something because it's good for you. Or you do something because you know it's purifying, or it ought to be done. Duty. Not whether I like it or not. I must do it. That's a mode of goodness impetus. And when devotional service is done in that manner, it's more effective than when the other modes are impelling. And so that's our mindfulness. The art of mindfulness is having an understanding of where our real shelter is, and self-realization lies also. There's no self-realization without God-realization. The Houston Temple, right across the street, a little tiny place, Self-Realization Fellowship. Used to be something else, they sold it to the Self-Realization Fellowship folks. But before I became a devotee, I looked at that opportunity, and it just didn't make sense. How can you have self-realization without God-realization? Prabhupada's example, really simple. In the dark of night, and you hold a mirror in front of yourself, what do you see? Nothing, because it's dark. However, when the sun rises, simultaneously you can see the sun and you can see yourself. So similarly, God realization and self-realization, they occur simultaneously. It may be a gradual process, as the sun rising is a gradual process, but self-realization and God realization go together. Say it conversely. There's no question of self-realization without God realization. There's no question of God realization without self-realization. So the art of mindfulness is being mindful of Krishna. And in that mindfulness of Krishna, you perform your prescribed duties. It's very simple. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, perform your prescribed duties and always think of me. So when you're performing your prescribed duties, think of Krishna. How do you do that? You become attached to Krishna, you think of Krishna. That's how you do it. It takes some time to become attached to somebody. But when you become accustomed to taking shelter of Krishna in sound, you become attached to Krishna. It's natural. Not something that you have to import and put on your hard drive. It's already there. It's natural. It just has to be awakened. So that's the art of mindfulness. Is that all right? Any comments or questions? Yes. Yes. Well, you can do meditation without sound, but meditation with sound is more effective. And that's the recommended meditation, is meditation with sound. That's prescribed for us for this age. It's recommended. You go to a doctor. The doctor takes your pulse and whatever they do for a diagnosis, and they say, okay, here's the situation, here's the medicine, and here's the diet. And then you could say to the doctor, well, do I have to take that medicine? Do I have to take that diet? Well, that's what I'm prescribing for you. You don't have to. You could. So for this particular age, that's the prescription, the recommended means. It's not that in other ages people didn't do mantra meditation. For example, Dhruva, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that he had that mantra, and some other procedures that he was recommended because it was Satya Yuga, but sound was there. And his goal was Vishnu because he wanted a kingdom. And his mother said, Vishnu can achieve anything. If he just says yes, it's yours. So, okay, how do I find Vishnu? Anything else? Being really easy on me tonight. Yes.
Yeah, you were saying earlier how modes can affect you even while you're doing your devotional service. I guess chanting is something that we're all doing almost on a daily basis. So within chanting itself, could you just explain how like modes of passion or modes of ignorance could come into play?
Sure. Put your hand in your bead bag and see where your mind goes. Probably one of two things, passion or ignorance. You're planning your day, or planning something. You're not with the mantra, you're in, what's not happening at the moment. Creation, passion, do, achieve, accomplish. Or something that happened in the past, and why did it go that way? Wish I hadn't said this, I could have done that. Why did they say this and do that? Dwelling in the past. Anything but the moment. And that, so mode of goodness influences just be present with Krishna. And that sound of his name, be with Krishna. That's what we're doing. We're calling Krishna, and he's there in the form of his sound, the form of his name. Okay. She's going to volunteer to commit to chant one round every day, even on vacation.
My question is, why do we have to do 108 like little beads?
Why 108?
Why do we have to do 108?
You don't
like
have to.
The little beads.
You don't have to. You can do 109.
Because, like, why is it made that way?
I know what you're asking. I was just pulling your leg. It's an auspicious number. there's many explanations, but I'll offer one simple one. When you chant your 1 round every day, times 16, let's see, 20, it's 25, it's approximately 25,000. 16 rounds, so we take 1/16 of that. 16 rounds is 25,000. 64 rounds is 100,000 or 1 lakh. So there's divisions of 1 lakh. And 1 round is 1/16 of 25,000. So it's an auspicious number, but it also, you do bigger math, and it comes out to a certain vow or vrata. You know that word? Vow? Vow. You know the word vow. I'm going to chant 1 round a day. That's a vow. Vow. So, and that number 108 multiplied as you continue to do that. How old are you now? 7.5. It's a big half. Okay. So, supposing when your birthday number 8 comes and you decide, I'm going to go to 2 rounds every day. Supposing, I'm not asking you to do that. But supposing you did that. And then when you're 9, you can chant 3. So by increments, you're working towards that 1/4 of 100,000 or 1 lakh of names. Now, your question was, why 108? That's an auspicious number. For example, one of the auspiciousnesses of that number is there's 108 principal Upanishads. There's 108 principal gopis. You know who the gopis are, right? Yeah. So amongst those 108, there's 8 that are most important amongst the 108, and amongst the 108, amongst the 8, there's Radha. But Radha has her 8 principal gopi friends, and she's at the center. So 108 is an auspicious number. You can think about that when you turn 8 years old, to move up to 2 rounds a day. You can think about it. You like that? Oh. When's your birthday? December 23rd. Well, my birthday is just a few days before yours. So I'm going to remember your 8th birthday date, and I'll put a word out and say, are you ready for the going up to 2 rounds a day when you're 8? You think about it. Some more. But start with 1 round every day. Okay. Okay. Everyone's happy. So where's Premananda? What's next? Announcements. Okay.